Welcome to the Emerson Exchange Studios. I'm Jim Cunningham, your host. I'm talking with Johan Clausen, Vice President of Lifecycle Services, and Dave Plum, President of Final Control. Now, we here at the Exchange have noticed certainly that some of our friends couldn't join us this year because they are unfortunately dealing with some natural disasters, hurricanes, earthquakes. With the effects of these natural disasters, I thought it would be an interesting conversation to find out how Emerson is helping and dealing with some of those problems. Specifically, let's talk about Hurricane Harvey, because that's huge. Dave, in the face of the devastation, how did Emerson respond?
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to be here first, Jim. Let's just characterize the storm first. I mean, the storm was persistent and it increased in intensity over a period of 4 days with significant rainfall, over 50 inches in some places. When it was all said and done for the greater Houston area, the reports that I've seen, over 135,000 people evacuated, over 35,000 people spending nights in shelters. 137,000 homes flooded out and over 300,000 vehicles flooded out. We've got about 2,100 people in the Emerson area, and we had over 200 of them that were impacted in some way by that storm, and about 80 of them who had actual rising flood water in their homes. So it was a dynamic event. It was moving over a period of 4 days, and we had to be very intentional about three things: get safe, stay safe, and then when we get further along into the process, helping people be ready to live safe.
You want to talk just a little bit from your perspective?
So Jim, yeah, also great to be here, and what a great event, the Exchange. So, I'm looking forward to this week. So, I want to start and first say our thoughts and prayers go out with our affected friends and colleagues. This was an unprecedented event, and there was a lot of people that was affected, that lost their homes, lost their livelihood, and I think from an Emerson point of view, we try to be there, both from a community but also from a customer point of view. And as our own employees was affected, our customers was also. And if you think about Texas, and you think about oil and you think about refineries, through the floods and everything, 25% of the refining capacity was taken out. I live in Austin, and even there we saw gas shortages. Through this. It's just an unprecedented event that took place. And for us, from a customer support point of view, we have what we call a three-step process. We talk about PDR, preparedness, damage assessment, and then recovery. And as the storm was approaching, we already had plans in place. We already had our supply chain, notified. We increased our parts and replacement units, in that region, and started channeling that down to Houston, and specifically Beaumont and Port Arthur areas. They were the most affected in all of this. But that's how we act on these events. And this is not new for us. Harvey was definitely a tragic event. But we've been through Katrina, we've been through Ike. Also really bad natural disasters, and we've learned from that, as we've gone through these events, we wanted to become more proactive in how we deal with our customers, and we've certainly done that through Harvey as well. I think most of the refineries are up and running now, but it took a lot of human effort, and we had people from all over the globe that responded, that was ready to support our customers. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely a massive undertaking, but you had to, a much needed undertaking. Now you talked about the hurricanes that came before that gave you some indication of what you needed to do. That helped you mobilize so effectively? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. So I can answer, and I think Dave can also from an employee point of view. But just like I talked about parts, upping our supply chain and channeling that down to the affected areas, but also setting up command centers, in those areas. Beaumont was one of those areas that we knew is going to be very hard, affected by flooding. Some of our customers, the plants was under 5 feet of water. Can you just imagine? that and the impact that's got on production. So we wanted to be ready for them. We wanted to have these command centers, people that's there to support them. We communicated with them right through the hurricane, and as soon as it was over and we could access, we were in there with our crews, our service techs and engineers, doing walk-down assessments of damaged components and damaged assets, and just helping them to recover from this tragic event.
Dave, final thoughts from you.
Well, from an employee standpoint, we do disaster recovery plans and preparations for all of our facilities, and gratefully none of our facilities were impacted with rising floodwaters or tornadoes in this event. But for our employees, we have 10 facilities across Houston, and we have people spread across all of Greater Houston. So the length of the storm, it was so dynamic, very difficult to get that readiness in place. So we were very intentional about making sure that everyone was safe, and once they were, we closed our facilities for 3 days so that they could stay safe, just because the rising floodwaters were unpredictable. And we've been working with the employees as the days and weeks preceded the storm, even up to today, and the time off that they need to get their home ready and to be lived in again. So the company's been extremely supportive of this, with time off, doing safety training for people to go out and volunteer their time. The response into Houston has been overwhelming, as Johan said, not just locally to Houston, but globally. The Emerson response has just been overwhelming, with people wanting to help. And so we've been helping people understand, if you're going to go out and be a volunteer, here's how to do it safely, here's how to do it graciously and quietly serve your neighbor, your coworker, your friend. The company provided 100 rigid wet-dry vacuums to just give to people to go out and say, hey, put these in use in your own homes, in your neighborhoods, in your communities, and supplying personal protective equipment to go out, and if you're going to do a home remediation, do it safely. Here's how you get a home, the mold eliminated from that home before you can start the rebuild process. So we've been very privileged. It makes you feel good about the company you work for, with the level of response that Emerson wanted to give the people that are part of our community.
Well, it's wonderful work that you're doing in a very, very difficult situation. Emerson, of course, great, but you guys, thanks for your efforts as well. We appreciate it.
I would say, one more thing, Jim, is for many, the flood is over. The water's gone, the rebuilding has begun, but for many it's not over. They've got a few more weeks or months ahead of them, and we want to be very intentional about continuing to support our employees as they go through this recovery process, and our customers, as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's still plants out there. Some of the chemical manufacturers that still have got water in their plant. So it's not. It's not all good, and we will continue working with them and making sure that we assist where we can, just be there for them. So
that's kind of the Emerson way, I guess, huh?
Absolutely.
Just great to talk with you both. Thank you so much for spending some time with us here at the Emerson Exchange Studios. Folks, we thank you as well, and if you want any more information or more stories like this, you can find it at emerson.com.